biggest pitfall, and we keep coming back to it, Joe Biden is 81 and Donald Trump is 78. I think a score draw for both of them, without any great gaffes that will be replayed endlessly on social media and then turn into campaign ads later down the line, will be a good result for both. If both come out unscathed, both move on to, there's another debate scheduled for September, there are only two. I think that would be an acceptable result for both of them.
Yes, that time of the week where we cross the Atlantic to find out what is happening in Washington. Our man in Washington correspondent of the Times of the Sunday Times, Alistair Dawber. Are you in Washington?
Good morning, Matt. Yes, I am.
Very good. What's the weather like?
Bit overcast this morning. It's been very, very hot for the last few days, but it's a little bit. It rained very hard last night. Bit overcast, but still warm. Very nice.
Good. That's the main thing. Right, we are looking ahead to the first head-to-head debate of the presidential race. A rerun, of course, of last time round, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. This is how their previous debates have unfolded.
Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're
to answer
senator.
the question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question
you want to put a lot of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
right.
Gentlemen, I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the
unprecedented.
court.
We have
not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment.
Oh, I bet you can't wait, Alistair.
Well, it won't be like that tonight, because the rules have changed, and when one is speaking, the other's microphone will be muted. So we're not going to be in a position where they're talking over each other, rambling, and frankly, it's a big verbal mess that's quite difficult to follow. It should be easy to follow, as I said. The other's microphone will be muted. There'll be no audience in the auditorium in Atlanta, so there'll be no groans or cries out or clapping or supporting. So it should be a little calmer, but with comments we've just heard, I think we might hear similar from them.
It's interesting because they're going to be in like glass boxes, or sufficiently far away from each other so that their mics won't pick up.
Yeah, so they're going to be across the other side of the stage. We've seen the stage already and how it's set out, and you've got the two moderators on one side, and then the Trump and Biden on either side of the stage. It will feel a bit sanitised, I think. I mean, the other thing that's worth bearing in mind as well, it's June, and it's very, very early in the cycle. Normally, the presidential debates take place much closer to the election in September and October. And I think that's both of them have agreed that now is a better time to do it in case there's a great mistake, a great gaffe made, and voters are given time to forget about it well before November.
I mean, the other thing is that neither of them have really taken part in debates very much. Donald Trump took part in none of the Republican primary debates. Yeah. Joe Biden was just sort of nominated. During COVID, it was all a bit odd. So, I mean, it's unlikely to be a great advert for political debate.
Well, we know already what each of their attack lines is going to be. Trump is going to talk about the economy and crime, and Biden's going to talk about whether or not someone with 34 criminal convictions is suitable to go back to the White House. They're going to talk about the economy, they're going to talk about the border, they're going to talk about foreign policy. There was a poll released yesterday saying that more than half of American voters are going to tune in. Whether any of those people at the end of the debate tonight will have learned something new about the candidates or about their platform, I think is probably doubtful.
And am I right in thinking, as I read this, or have I made this up, that no sitting president has previously debated their predecessor?
That would, off the top of my head, that would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. I think so. Yeah, I'd have to check. I'll come back to you next week. I'll get.
Let's just agree. Let's just agree. It's great. I mean, is it likely, given then the rules, their lack of practice, the fact we know what their attack lines are, and it's still months to go? Are we expecting it to be something that moves the dial in any way? Given that, and I always find this extraordinary in a country as big as America, it is split almost exactly 50-50 down the middle.
Look, I mean, I don't think the American public are going to learn anything new about the character, about the policies of the two guys on stage. I mean, these guys have been at the forefront, the centre of American politics now together for the best part of 5, 6, 7 years. I think the biggest pitfall, and we keep coming back to it, Joe Biden is 81 and Donald Trump is 78. I think a score draw for both of them, without any great gaffes that will be replayed endlessly on social media and then turn into campaign ads later down the line, will be a good result for both. If both come out unscathed, both move on to, there's another debate scheduled for September, there are only two. I think that would be an acceptable result for both of them.
And I wanted to ask you about the really interesting piece that you wrote a couple of days ago, I think, when you've been to Philadelphia, because, you know, the perception, anyway, is that it's old, uneducated people voting Donald Trump and all the trendy young uni kids who are voting Biden and the Democrats. And speaking to young people, millennials, Gen Zers, who are frustrated by the Biden administration and going over to the Republicans.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we shouldn't get too carried away. I mean, polls still say that young people are more likely to vote Democrat and older people are more likely to vote Republican in a very general sense, but that's what the polls tell us. But there is a trend where Joe Biden, who will rely on the youth vote, is losing a lot of young people. We've seen inflation spike, we've seen the cost of housing spike, even petrol. I mean, it's come down a bit now, but it's been very expensive. Younger people are struggling to get on the housing ladder. It's a similar story to back home in the UK. They're struggling to get on the housing ladder. They're struggling to make their salary cover all their costs. And they listen to Donald Trump. They say, well, he's a businessman. Yes, there's a lot we don't like about him, but frankly, you know, as every American election we see, it's all about the economy. And people look at that and say, maybe we would be better under Donald Trump. And the polls do suggest that younger people, not all of them, but a number of younger people are drifting over to the Republican side.
Oh, it's fascinating. That is, it's really interesting. Let's bring in Rosie Wright, because Rosie, no, she's not there yet. Oh, we managed to get Dawber up. It's the middle of the night over there. What are you going to look out for tonight in this debate then? Will there be a flash moment? Is there something in particular that you're going to look out for, Alistair?
I think there are two things really that could change the dial. I think we at some point are going to get Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee. Maybe he announces that during the debate tonight. That would be a sort of blockbuster moment, if you like. And then, sadly, the other things to look out for really are the gaffes from both candidates. You know, Biden has a habit of going down verbal rabbit holes, as does Trump. You know, were one of them to say something a bit silly or repeat an answer or, you know, not find their way off stage at the end of the debate, I think that was something that might capture the headlines tomorrow morning.
Well, watching along that will be Rosie Wright, who's going to be up from, she's going to be on air from 1 a.m, bringing you that debate live on Times Radio. Rosie, you there?
I am, Matt. Good morning.
So you're going to be keeping tally of all the gaffes?
Well, how many will it be? We don't know. Ultimately, both of these candidates are a little bit out of practice of doing these kind of head-to-head debates. Of course, the Republicans didn't have that process before declaring that Donald Trump would be standing. So are they both going to be rusty? Kind of really right now, what an insight into what both camps are doing to try to prepare. I mean, last night, didn't we? We got an idea of what 90 minutes under the spotlight looks like. This time, there'll be no live studio audience for either, let's say, Trump to maybe feed off the energy or for either of them to get a bit of a boost. It's going to be very different. Let's hope with the ability of this mute button, it's not going to be as sort of tempestuous as it has been in the past. I mean, you remember how brutal it got last time when Biden just had to say, you know, will you shut up, man? So there will be potentially pauses, potentially gaffes, and will they both have, ultimately this question is levelled at both of them, the stamina to get through this for 90 minutes?
Well, we'll wait and see what happens. Best of luck with it, Rosie. Rosie Wright will be here on Times Radio from 1 a.m. right the way through until 6. Alistair Dawber live in Westminster in Washington with all the coverage. You'll be able to read it all online. Of course, at thetimes.com. Thank you for that, both of you.